Alright, hey everybody, how y'all doing? This is Jared Napolitano, aka JNAP. I'm the marketing advocate for the Players Committee. In case you are watching this type of stream for the first time, welcome. We are going to do a stream of 2 4-0 players in Event 1. This will be Game 5 of a 6-game event. Premiere-Hoth is the format, and this took place a couple days ago on February 18th, 2023. We had 3 tables that were 4-0 versus 4-0, so that's funneling down to 3 5-0 players, 2 of which will play each other, and those pairings are going to be posted pretty soon. I would say like the advocate sponsor for the league, and Steve Sanders runs the league. We are going to do Premiere to Endor as the second event. If you haven't signed up yet and you're just, again, coming across this for the first time, on the YouTube channel, just go to starwarsccg.org. One of the recent news articles goes into all the details about the league, how to sign up, what's entailed, what time frame, what events, etc., etc. But happy President's Day out there to everyone who celebrates. I guess the Star Wars CCG Players Committee, I guess Scott Lingrell would be our president, so thanks, Scott. Have a great day today. But we'll jump in here. I have this replay on GEMP. Again, I always try to make these streams coming from a perspective of if this is the very first thing you're watching in Star Wars CCG in a long time, or the first thing ever, that it's not going to be totally Greek to you. Unless you are Greek, because then it would all make sense, but another language, put it that way. So play.starwarsccg.org is where you can play this very, very beautiful yet complex game online. It's rules enforced. It's awesome. We'll go in here and do the replay that way, and it's really good. That enables these replays too, that can be used to do stuff like this, or it can be able to be used to review your own stuff and attempt to try to get better. But of course, this will be available, and probably where you're watching this, on the PC YouTube channel, and for posterity. But we've tried to make an extra effort this year to cover the top tables in the Retro League for each event. Because I think it's pretty good entertainment if you're a big Star Wars CCG player, fan, trying to get better, curious about certain formats, whatever it might be. I think these streams are pretty cool, fun to do. All right, so we'll jump right in. This is a matchup of, again, 2 4-0 players. One of them's Ideatrack. He's playing Darkside. And then we have hdwgitm. How do we get into this mess? I'm assuming that stands for... but that is Joe, so I'll probably call him Joe most of the time. And Ideatrack, I'll probably call him Ideatrack, or maybe Lyndon as well. So here we have, oh, interesting. So I don't know too much about Joe. I know Ideatrack is, and actually I'll give a quick plug. If you go to the homepage, starwarsccg.org, there's an article on the right here. Let's just refresh it. And a plug for this. I think it's a good article written by Ideatrack here. At least it should appear. My Journey Immersing Back into Star Wars CCG. So it's on the right here under the news. Really cool article about how he got involved in retro formats, sealed formats, and going to live events, participating on online events, and really getting to know people in the community, and really good plug for the league too. But so I don't know too much about Joe, but apparently he's a pretty good player, because 4-0 going into this, and we have our pretty standard. So again, if you're new to these, I try to offer my perspective, some things that I'm sure the players realize in the moment. Critique, sometimes it's easier to critique when you're watching it third person versus you're in the moment. But these players are better than me probably in this format, so I'm sure anything I review here, they probably have already realized, or conversely agree, or maybe I'm wrong. Put it that way. All right, so it's pretty standard opening hand. Again, this is Premiere-Hoth. We got a couple altars. We got a Han, a Chewie, a couple senses. Death Star, I think, is pretty much always the starting location for Darkside in this format, except it can become a liability with Tantive 4 being able to deploy here. And then it becomes a 4-strain of 3. Pretty cool foil. Gem foil. And we just have a little bit of activation, draw, and we'll see these players start getting out more locations or no. We're not going to put out the location. Don't want it to become a liability. He's probably looking for some good characters. Opening himself up to a used Monarch or Grimtosh, or I guess it would be Monarch in this case, being that he's at 13 hands, or 13 cards in hand. Idea Track just puts out the third marker, very good sight, even nowadays, and saves his 3/4. Death Star Trash Compactor, that's interesting. So you may deploy here. Wow, that's pretty. I didn't realize it does that. That's cool. So Lightside can go there either way, and then they can drain for 1. And in this era, unlike eras that followed it, even in like Special Edition, a couple years after this, there are not many downsides to deploying to non-battlegrounds, locations that both players don't get force icons. Sometimes they can be pretty good, actually, because you can strand your opponent there, or at a location that they can't then drain, oftentimes. All right, so Admiral Mahdi and Blizzard Scout 1. Idea Track sets up a drain of 2 here. Joe has a humongous hand here of 17 cards. He's only got, like 4 characters. We have 1 cut off here on the right, but I don't think that's a character. We have Leia, Jerome, Han, and Chewbacca. So he does put out Mos Eisley now. He's going to go Jerome to the Trash Compactor, who is a spy, but you don't even need to be a spy there. And of course he has a Hujix here, so although it is possible, although Idea Track probably would have played it by now if he had it, a Monarch. But if he Monarchs away several cards to take the hand down to 8, he could lose some key cards. So no force saved here. He's going to lose 2. Joe loses 2 to the drain. Sorry about the mess from hand. And what are you trying to push on us, which is the grabber. And now Lyndon's going to put Grimoff Tarkin and Officer Evax, 2 Darkside leaders, 2 Mos Eisley to threaten another drain of 2. So this looks pretty good for Lyndon off the bat, but Idea Track stays at 12. Here comes the Grimtosh Lost, and it's sensed. But now we're going to have a Sense Altar War. Here we go. Alright, so we got an altar. And, oh, no, not. Just a 1-for-1. Alright, so the Grimtosh Lost is going to go through. Oh, I missed it. Alright, we'll see. We lose 2 snipers and 2 altars. We also saw Vader's Lightsaber, Ice Storm. So that'll be tricky if Lightside tries to go to the 3rd marker. Outside of a vehicle, of course. I have you now. No Darth Vader. Tentacle. Didn't have the force to play the Tentacle. Circle, but no Vaders in his hand. Alright, so now he has that information. Let's see what he does with it. So he does not see, well, he couldn't play it anyway, I was going to say. He doesn't see a counter assault. There goes a Tentacle from hand. I feel like that might be kind of helpful, but we'll see. Alright, so you have Double Agent, which I was talking about this in one of the other streams that I did over the weekend, or I guess it was last Thursday I did the 2 other 4-0 matchups. And I think I made a comment about how I don't see Double Agent as often as I would think, given how, easy it is to get rid of, like, U3PO, for example. But Joe has it in his deck, so that's good. He has an Obi-Wan now. We got 2 drains of 2 coming from light side to dark side. Neighboring leads off the top, sense from hand. Activation is pretty meager for both sides, only 7 to 6. But maybe I shouldn't say meager. Maybe at this time that's actually might be pretty normal, just given how many locations you're trying to find that balancing act of having enough activation but not end up drawing all your locations for destinies. All right, Light also loses Obi-Wan and R2-D2. Off the top, we have a Scanning Crew, which is going to be sensed with Jerome Webb. Ability 2. He needs to roll a 1 or a 0, and he does. All right, that worked. I think in one of my games this event, I did that. I think I made sense like a trample or something, and I had like an ability 2 or 3 character. And another Scanning Crew, so he's going to try to get this one through. We're going to have another sense. If he gets both of these, that'll be pretty impressive. He's trying to get rid of Obi-Wan and Han Solo or someone. And he hits that one too. Wow, 10 to 4. So Jerome Webb, a.k.a. Jedi Master Jerome Webb, who is able to sense 2 Scanning Crews in 1 turn, and I'm sure Idea Track was like, you gotta be kidding me, when this happened. So now he's got a lot of senses and Scanning Crews in his lost pile. I think that's, 5 out of this 8 cards in his hand? Lots of audio feedback. Oh boy. Alright. Maybe I'm too close to the thing. Hopefully it gets a little better. Please let me know. Thank you, Hobo Hobby. Please let me know if you keep hearing that. I'm not doing anything differently than I typically do, so maybe it was, I don't know what it was, but I'll keep checking the chat. Alright, so we have a drain of 1 at the trash compactor per the game text. Alright, we have a Dr. Vazin off the reserve deck. Undercover. So Light's just going to keep drawing more cards. And he gets the Dejaric Hollow game board. And Dark's just going to keep pumping through drains of 2. Light's only activating 6 because they really can't do much on any one turn here. At least until they start getting more locations out. Loses the Cantina. So Light Side's definitely taking the approach and has been, even early, didn't want to put that Mos Eisley out turn 1. Don't want to put out your locations if you can't defend them, because a lot of times it can turn into a liability. As we have Darth Vader come down to the 3rd marker with his lightsaber, so that's now a drain of 3. And he's going to move to the War Room. Okay, so not a drain of 3, so he's going to threaten another drain of 2. And meanwhile, Drone Web is continuing to... So despite, it looks like a lot of things are going very well for Light Side. I'm just going to pause it for a second. Very well for Dark Side, rather. But it's 42 to 44. Wow, so Dark actually has less. Am I doing my math right? Yeah. But they have much better board control, you would say. Here comes a Grimtosh to the Dejaric Hollow game board. Dejaric rules. One of the, as I learned, one of the unique sections of the advanced rulebook has its own blurb in there about what Dejaric rules do. That was a pretty recent podcast. If you search for, I guess it's on Corrin on the Horn, is the feed on Apple Podcast or other podcasts. But Corrin, as in Corrin Horn, Corran. There was a real fun, Star Wars CCG game show recently that talked about special rules, and very entertaining, including our rules advocate, Greg Zen. All right, so Momana Dawn gets undercover. He's going to block the drain with Vader. I guess he doesn't have to worry about Ice Storm there. He does have to worry about Sniper, but we saw 2 snipers go lost earlier in the game because of Monarch, or Grimtosh, rather. Yeah, so please let me know, chat, if there's any difficulty hearing, if there's any bad feedback. Continuing through here. All right, so a couple more drains from Dark, Trash Compactor, Jedi Lightsaber, Derek Hobby Clivian, and Wedge Antilles off the top. And Dark is going to draw here. Again, both sides are only activating 8. Light Side has nothing saved here. They will be able to get drain of 1 at the Dejaric Hollow game board. And another fun fact from that episode, not to play spoiler, but eventually there's a card that you can play that will blow away the Imperial Hollow table, which is obviously not exactly the same thing. This is on the Falcon. The Imperial Hollow table is at the Death Star War Room, right? So you can't blow this thing away, whereas you can actually blow away the Hollow table. All right, so Obi-Wan comes down with his lightsaber against Tarkin and Evax. Let's see what happens here. So he's going to try to slice Tarkin. Need to draw a total of a 4. Starts with a 2. And he draws a 3. He had a nice storm of his own. So that's going to take Tarkin's forfeit to 0, which means if Light Side draws a 1, both of the Dark characters will die. Draws a 1 for Battle Destiny, of course. If Dark draws a 5 or higher, Obi-Wan's going to have to go lost. But there's not a ton of, good high destinies. We'll say he draws a 3. All right, so Obi-Wan is going to survive. Light Side's going to have to lose 1 force or 2 force to battle damage. But Obi-Wan can stick around. And we're going to see the Ice Storm get lost from Use Pile, along with the Gold Leader from Use Pile as well. We don't have any systems out yet, besides the Death Star, which Light Side's going to need Tantive 4 to get to. Alright, so now Light draws into Luke Skywalker and Mantalian Saber, 2 pretty good cards to have. Dark is going to now, went from 6 damage down to 2 pretty quickly. Light Side's weathered this storm, and now comes U-3PO, so Dark is going to now shut that off, but, and Garindin here, so, double agent? Double agent? Here comes a double agent. I wonder, so this is interesting, so we know from the earlier Grimtosh that Dark has Nivar Yalnal, which of course is the dark side version of Double Agent. So the next action that Idea Track is going to play is probably going to be Nivar Yalnal, but Lightside's going to play Double Agent first. He needs to draw 3, and if he draws a 3, here's what the card says. Let's zoom in. Both players have a spy at the same site. Draw Destiny. Add 2 of opponent's spies undercover. So that won't be the case because this is Lightside, because the Lightside spy is undercover. Destiny greater than 3, or greater than 2. The spy's lost. So he needs to draw 3 here. And he draws a 2, so that's going to fail. And now we're probably going to see the Nivar Yalnal played. No. Maybe he lost it to a drain or something? Or maybe he is trying to just... There it is, okay. After he draws 2 cards, we're going to see a Sense from Obi. Maybe Idea Track wanted to try to draw like a Sense or Altar. Okay, there we go. Or he wanted to like make sure his Destiny was... He only needs to draw 1, so... Even though there are zeros floating around, probably. Alright, so Dark Side draws the Destiny, draws a 0, and it failed. Wait a minute. Wait 1 second. What just happened? So, Lightside played the Sense, Darkside played the Altar. Draw Destiny. Add 2. Oh, yeah, he needs to draw... Wait a minute. Okay, so yeah, he just needs to draw 1. 1 plus 2 greater than 2. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's right. He just needed to draw 1 and he drew a 0. So, wow. So, some pretty wild things. Idea Track, he's got two Scanning Crews sensed with Jerome Webb as the highest ability character. Now he misses on kind of a critical Nivar Yalnal. Light's going to get a couple drains through here. Presumably, we're going to see a Sorry About the Mess. Yeah. Obi-Wan's lightsaber is going to target the OG U3PO. And he just needs to draw a total of 1 with 2 draws. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Could he draw a second 0? That'd be pretty wild. No, he draws a 2. Alright, so U3PO. I mean, in this format, O switch off exists. That's a used interrupt, Destiny 6. That is a way to protect your all droids, but also especially U3PO from weapons. So that's something possibly worth including, especially because like 2 U3POs is basically like standard in like every deck. Alright, so Force Train 2 here at Mos Eisley because of the lightsaber. Dark loses their Mos Eisley, and another Nivar Yalnal off the top. Down comes Luke to join Jerome Webb. And Anakin's lightsaber, so that's now a drain of 2. Lightside's really turned the shine. Now, Lightside does only have 17 versus 33. So, Lightside, wow. So, didn't we... Earlier in the game, it seemed like Dark was doing really well, but they were actually a couple cards behind in terms of life force and hand. Now, Lightside has the board control, 15, 26 total, versus 33 for Light, if I'm doing my math right, or for Dark. All right, so now Dark is up in life, but behind in damage. Damage potential, damage queued up. Oh yeah, the logo here is blocking something. Sorry, that's like the 1 card in hand. So with these replays, you can see lightsaber proficiency is the last card in Lightside's hand. Of course, this was provided by Joe, so thank you, Joe. All right, we see the move over here. Yeah, he's going to take Momo outside, who's now going to be vulnerable to Ice Storm if Idea Track still has it. Yeah, so, okay, probably the case here. So now Idea Track puts Vader inside the Walker, which means you can't use the lightsaber to add to the Force Drain because the lightsaber needs to be present where present. And if you're on a Walker, you're not present at the site. All right, so you have your Scanning Crew. It's going to get sensed again. This time Obi-Wan's out. You got a Sense from Dark. Light has an Altar. You don't want to lose a Sense Altar. Where sometimes the skill here is really picking your battles of when to try to bait, when to basically like let something go through that might be unfortunate, but isn't as unfortunate as something else that might happen. Like in this case, for example, of like, you know, maybe to protect against like a trample on your undercover spy, something like that. Kind of an exercise in weighing potentials. All right, so he returns Grimtosh to his hand, which you could do at any time because of Dejaric rules, and he's going to play it used. So Linen's now going to lose 5 cards from his hand to take it down to 8. as is the use function of this still controversial card, although a little different place in the meta 7 years later-ish. Alright, Undercover from the use pile for Dark, Victory Class Star Destroyer, also lost. That was a pretty good play there, because yeah, sometimes you can forget that the Dejaric rules that their destiny is basically their power, their ability. If you have 4 total, there's deploy, forfeit, it's everything is the destiny, and you can pick them up at any time. I don't think not if there's a battle, because of course you can battle them too. Alright, so Luke gets lightsaber proficiency. That's now during a 3. Chewie to the War Room, and Han against Mahdi, and that's going to be at least 2 overflow unless Dark has some tricks, and Hujix now goes to the game board. He can just pick that up at any point. Well, now now he can't, because you have to. Oh no, that's right. You can just pick it up. Even you don't have to spend the deploy cost. All right, so this could be bad for Dark if they don't have a Gick. It looks like it's going to be 4 overflow, unless Dark has a Gick to get out of it. And yeah, he has to peel 4 cards. So Victory Class Star Destroyer, Darth Vader, Tentacle, and Admiral. Another Admiral Mahdi, I think. Alright, here's the Ice Storm. Unless he lost the Mahdi last. No, I think it was the second Mahdi. Wow. Alright, so Ice Storm makes both of the spies, one of them undercover, go missing. So now Darkseid's going to be able to get a drain through. I think this thing moves, right, in the next control phase. All characters present each turn during control the next marker reversing direction. So yeah, so I think it's going to move back the other direction. You can alter on the proficiency. I feel like Light has been doing very well with the sense alter battles in this game. Dark draws a 0, so that's going to get through. And lightsaber proficiency is gone, which is going to save him force. We have a recycle. Turn 11 now for light side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drain. And this looks like it's gonna be. It looks like it favors light side, but we'll see. Especially now light side has Tantive, so he could just put Tantive and like put Savrip out, and then like lose Leia from hand, or you could put Leia down with Undercover once the Ice Storm goes away. This looks pretty good for light side. And Savrip comes down, so that's now going to make the Hujix not vulnerable to like anything, like even like a Monarch could be 2, battle, lose a force type thing. And like we said, he could pick it up. So yeah, he's not even going to do the Tantive to the Death Star, because right now he doesn't really have to. So that's a good play of not forcing something. You know, I've heard it said a few times, there's Monarch lost? Interesting. So just sense it, but just a bait maybe? And then alter just to make Darkseid lose cards effectively here? Because he doesn't have any worry about any doubles, right? No, so... and it's not like Dark has much force to do anything on this turn. So it looks like Dark's going to win the Sense Alter War. Alright, so Ice Storm goes lost during the control phase. Dark's going to drain for 2. Presumably disembark Vader this turn, so then he can start adding to the drain with the lightsaber. We see the War Room tossed. At this point, that's not going to be helpful. U3PO comes back. I made this comment on one of the other streams, is that there's a lot of back and forth in this format, which I think is pretty good. Like, the game seesaws, especially because players just start, if you're an old school player, it might not seem like this, but nowadays you start with a lot of cards on table. Even the Decipher era, once you get to like Death Star 2, you're starting with a lot of cards on table. And therefore, like, your reserve deck goes down pretty quickly. This, you just start with so few stuff that the game you can afford to lose some battles, take some battle damage. Like, the game just goes back and forth. But this does look like, yeah, okay, so Idea Track concedes, yeah, so that wasn't going to get Battle Destiny, but there's probably nothing Idea Track couldn't, he doesn't have the space, right? Only 2 cards in hand. At the top here, Dark, he's not going to be able to contest this. So even though U3PO is covering that up, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 damage to Dark's 3, so he's doing double the damage, and he is up a couple cards when you do Hand and Life. Congratulations to Joe for moving on. So he's light, which means he could possibly play Dr. Torch, who is dark and 1, but he can't play. Wasn't tip my tongue. John Carr, who also played light, so they can't play in the game 6. And then, so it is possible we have 2 6-0s, and if that's the case, there's going to be a final confrontation. But if whoever gets paired down loses their game to a 5 or to a 4-1 player, I guess, whoever wins the 6-0 game is going to be the outright winner of this event. And they get an uncut sheet, which I think is a New Hope rare, maybe, or maybe a New Hope uncommon, something like that. Lots of cool prizes, digital, physical, some prizes that anyone would appreciate. Some of them that if you're kind of like a hybrid player, play open and old school, you'd appreciate a little bit more. But yeah, so this was game again. Thanks to Joe for providing the replay. Good luck to all players in the last game of the event. And again, if you're just seeing this, find out about the Retro League that the Players Committee sponsors. This is the second year. We did one last year. There's also 5 events. You can still sign up. You might be a little behind in the cumulative standings since you'll be missing one of the events, but still encourage everyone to play. There's prizes. It's $10 for the year, but there's participation prizes and performance prizes, and it's a good way to just meet people. And even though digitally it's online, it's global, but just to and get better. All right. So thanks to everyone who tuned in live and everyone who watches this on replay. May the force be with you.